We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Jonathan. All right, first he sent us an article describing listening clubs in London that harken back to similar clubs that began in the 1970s New York, where audio quality is top priority, and the club goers share high-quality music recordings in group listening sessions. So, naturally, the article quickly devolves into talking about vinyl, analog versus digital, and using as little processing as possible in an attempt to liberate the sound wave. Is that really a quote? Liberate the sound waves? Is that a quote from there?
That is a quote. Liberate the sound waves. Yes. I wouldn't have come up with those words. That's nonsense.
So what's our take? Well, our take is you put a bunch of people in the same room and they'll eventually get stupid. That's essentially what that is my take. That is
I did like that.
I honestly believe that.
They marked the sweet spot with a disco ball overhead. So if you want the sweet spot, you have to sit right under the disco ball. I like that.
That's all right. I can get behind that. I mean, I don't care how you mark it. Put the X on the floor.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's fine. It's like this. It's fine. You guys want to get together and get, have some scotch and talk about audio and get really excited about this stuff. I'm happy. If you're enjoying your speakers, enjoying your time, I'm also happy. If you're telling people that, having as little processing as possible is making your sound better, it's going to make their sound better, I have a problem. That's where I draw the line. I don't care what you do in your system, and if you and your friends are all on the same page, I don't care what you guys do together. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. You want to hang out with audiophiles, you can hang out with audiophiles. I'm not going to discriminate against you. I am going to discriminate against you telling other people essentially falsehoods because it's what you want to believe. There is no there's objective truth, and then there's whatever the crap you guys are talking about underneath your disco ball. And frankly, that's where I draw the line. So they want to get together and do this. There's a lot of these clubs around, like the Boston Audio Club. Remember, we've seen videos about this on YouTube and stuff, where they get together in their conferences and they're talking about, why vinyl is better and why, reel to reel should come back and, all that nonsense. And what.
Yeah, no, it seems like it's the same type of crowd that, frequents the trade shows that we have here, the audiophile trade shows like Rocky Mountain Audio Fest or something like that.
Show.
And you get a lot of, you get a lot of this attitude of, everything has to be analog. Vinyl is better than digital. Reel to reel would be even better than vinyl, and on and on it goes. So it all seems to, unfortunately, quickly devolve to that. And I will say the comment I have on this article in particular is any listening club anywhere, any auditorium, whatever it is, that claims we have the best audio system in the world. I'm just like, well, there's no way to measure that. Their system only cost $500,000. How can they possibly claim it's the best? There are individual pairs of speakers that cost over $1 million. Surely they're even better. So
I was looking up
that stupid claim.
I was looking up. I don't remember. It might have been Wilson. It might have been the Wilson speakers, because they're really super duper high end too and very expensive. And they're like top end. They only made like 4 pairs of them or whatever they were. I might be wrong about this.
Yeah.
It was like $750,000, but the owner came to your house for like a week and stayed, I guess, with you. I think that part is weird.
Yeah.
And help you set up your speakers and optimize your system. I'm like, I'm not making some strange dude breakfast for like a week just so I can set up my speakers. It's just not happening. I mean, even if he stays in the hotel, I feel like whatever. It's just weird. All right. Second, Jonathan says another article that uses the release of Lady Gaga's new album as a jumping on point. Talk about the growing popularity of analog studios that record on reel-to-reel tape and forego using Pro Tools for editing. Somewhat, and thankfully, surprisingly, is the admission that it isn't about sound quality. Rather, it's the psychological aspect of knowing that whatever is being recorded cannot be endlessly edited, and that if you want to redo a take, it will be a destructive editing process that will erase the previous take. Many artists feel that this ends up creating a better performances, also leads to final recordings that are not as flawless, but are more akin to capturing a live performance. Jonathan thinks this is finally a reasonable argument for choosing analog over digital, but truthfully, couldn't the same be accomplished in a digital recording studio using Pro Tools plus some self-restraint? Oh, okay, so I completely agree with what Jonathan is saying here, 100%, all the way across. This is the problem with his last assertion is that, what you really could do is you're like the soup Nazi guy, right? You're like, we're gonna
Right.
record this and we're gonna record it with digitally all the way and blah blah blah. But if I don't like it, I'm deleting it. You have to start over again. People are only gonna want to work with you once. And they're gonna be like, that dude's a total. I don't soup Nazi. I don't know. I can't say anything that could go in this podcast. So I
Yes.
mean, they're not going to say very nice words about you, and they're never going to come back again. But if you use these other processes, this reel to reel or vinyl or however you want to do it, suddenly your hipster or you're using old technology and it's giving you something, it's taking the onus off of you of being a jerk by deleting everything and puts it into the technology that you're using, which you can then make all the BS arguments about how much better analog is than digital, because that's
Well, and there's a legacy. There's a legacy to it too. You're saying we're using the same equipment that was used in the 1960s or in the 1970s,
right.
and think of all the classic albums that came out then. We're using the same setup. So, I mean, Jonathan, you said the thing self-restraint. We're talking about artists,
Yeah,
right?
well
Artists
known for
aren't
their
gonna be
self-restraint.
thinking- That's right. They're not gonna. I mean, all the logic in the world can tell you something is so, but there is the entire psychological side of it where if you know it's being recorded digitally and the person has Pro Tools, what they're saying about I think this is the way to get the best performance out of me and my band, I'm fine with that, because it is a real
Yeah.
thing, right? They're saying we are recording using this equipment. This is the only way to do it. If we want to have a killer album, we got to play really well on this one take, because that's it. And I think that's legitimate. I think that's fine, because even if they're told you get one take and we're deleting it if it isn't what you want, if in the back of your mind you're going, but I know it's recorded on a hard drive and it doesn't have to be that way. Like, if that's in there anywhere in an artist's mind, I can
Yeah.
see them not giving it their
Yeah.
all. So I'm okay with this having a legitimate technical limitation that then affects the psychology of an artist. I think there's some merit to that. So I'm okay.
So
with
what
that.
was the really super popular In Excess album that blew up and had all the good songs on it and stuff? Do you remember the name of that album? I can't remember the name of that album.
I don't
I can
remember.
see the album cover in my head. I know you guys all know what I'm talking about. It's got late 80s, early 90s, maybe early 80s, in the 80s sometime. Anyways, that album specifically, like, there was interviews with the band and everything, and my understanding was that it was recorded in such a way as to, this is how we would play it, this is how we would sing it live. We want to give people
Right.
the best live performance, but in a studio setting, right? And I had a friend who his brother was actually, he worked in a recording studio. In fact, I had like some mixes that he did of like Oingo, because he had like the masters of Oingo Boingo and a couple other bands, and he would do these remixes and then give them to his brother. His brother would give them, would share them with me back in the era of cassette tapes. Sort of a practice is kind of how they did that. They kind of practiced, and he said he went to the concert and was like, well, they succeeded. They made an album that sounds a lot like them playing live, which means I kind of felt like I could have just sat in my car and heard a better version of what I just heard live, because it wasn't different. It was the same. So, this goes back to this idea of that you're getting a more live performance. You're getting a less polished, a less processed performance. As long as you're not going for a completely live, like this completely other end of the spectrum, it is nice to be able
there's
to
still
hear.
some editing.
Well, it
going
is
on here.
nice to be able to hear a little bit of error here and there. It's almost like an Easter egg for somebody who's a real fan of the group that really listens and goes, came in a little early there, or I hear this sound in the background here that I know shouldn't be there, but nobody else is going to notice that but me, because I'm such a fan, sort of thing. Anyways. All right, I don't know how I got on that tangent, but I got there. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.